Dr. Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks. Hello, I'm Dr. Pachenik, and I want to address the issue of sexual harassment. Of course, it's abominable across the board, but what it really signifies to me is a far more serious issue, and that is the ascendancy of power in women, and this has been long overdue. 30 years ago, I wrote a book called Hidden Passions, and what I was really writing about was the fact that most women were doing everything for everyone, including the house chores, taking care of the kids, taking care of the husband, taking care of the partner, going to work, literally everything for everyone. And the one question I would ask them in therapy is, what do you want for yourself? And 1/3 of the women who came to my practice left, 1/3 got angry, and 1/3 stayed. And with that 1/3, I was able to work with them over several weeks and discuss what I call the asymmetry of power. Now, what does that mean? That means in any relationship, all power is not equal between a man and a woman, whether it's in America, whether it's in Iran, whether it's in Israel. There's always an asymmetry of power. For the most part, men have been socialized to be in the primary position. However, what we have been witnessing with all of this disgusting sexual harassment is the evolution and ascendancy of women saying, I'm not going to take it anymore. I've waited 30 to 40 years for that ascendancy of power so that women can now be on equal terms with men. That doesn't mean women haven't been on equal terms, but for the most part, women have always been in a secondary position. They've been socialized that way. In every culture, for the most part, women have been socialized to take care of the man, take care of the family, take care of the household, take care of everyone but themselves. So what I called the hidden passion was really the hidden power that was within them that could come out and make it a relationship of equality. Ironically, I treated women who were in the law, women who were journalists, women who were politicians. And in fact, most of the therapy was not dealing with their past childhood, but dealt with the real strategies and tactics that women needed at that time and now at present to realign that power basis so they could be on an equal footing with men. It sounds easier than it is, but for the most part, women have always feared to get into a primary position. Why? Because they've always been socialized to take the secondary position to say, look, you're really outstanding, but you're not as good as so-and-so who happens to be a man. In that case, women have always been fearful of taking the necessary risks that were required to get to the top. Ironically, one of the few organizations in the United States that gave equality to most women was the OSS and CIA. And what am I saying? When the OSS was created in the 1940s, women were recruited on an equal basis to men. And the reason for that is that several women were very important in terms of intelligence and manipulation. Whom am I talking about? Ruth Benedict, the famous anthropologist, wrote a very famous thesis on chrysanthemum and the sword. And in that OSS, she really predicted that we would have to treat Japan as an equal and leave the king on the throne. At the same time, we had a famous African-American woman spy named Josephine Baker, who was a chanteuse in France and gave us a lot of materials regarding the Nazis. There are other names, Greta Garbo, Julia Childs, the cook, all of whom served the United States on an equal footing to men within the OSS. That continued in the CIA and pretty much in the intelligence community as I have known it over the 30 years. So this is the beginning of a series of talks that I will give on the quality of power, asymmetrical power, and the absence of power. Let me quote Bette Davis, the famous movie star, who said the following: "Strong women tend to pick weak men." I don't know about that, but think about it. Anyway, have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next week. Hi, This is Dr. Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks.